My name is Robert Lusk, and for the final project, I've decided to go with a Salt Lake City co-op on this site. So I want to jump into why I did that and what that will look like for Salt Lake City and the community. So this is a aerial, it's a 3D of the site, and I chose this site because I actually live in this community, in this neighborhood, just about a block away, and it's a very, very walkable community. You can get to, grocery stores, schools, churches, restaurants, bars, anything you want. You can walk to. You can walk to it, or bike to it, or take the public transportation. It's got a really good public transportation network with buses and a TRAX line. The one thing we are missing here is a place to get locally sourced, sustainably grown produce in a co-op format, which is why I've decided to do that on this site. And when we get into the site design strategies, transportation, we've got the TRAX line, which is right across the street. It's on the corner there, which connects you to the Front Runner and all of the Salt Lake Valley. Um, it's a really walkable neighborhood, like I said. Bike lanes are really good in Salt Lake City. The network's not complete, but it is getting there. And what they have is really, it's awesome for biking around. And then obviously it's got a great street network and road network for cars to access this site. Location, we are in Salt Lake City, in the Central City neighborhood, about 5 blocks away from 9th and 9th, about a mile from Liberty Park, down the hill from the University of Utah, and to the north we've got the Avenues neighborhood, and to the west we've got downtown. So it's really kind of in the center of this community, and which is why a co-op in this site would be perfect for the community, because we're in the heart of Salt Lake City. And then as far as sustainability goes, we've got a lot of strategies that we're implementing that we're going to talk about. First off, we're reusing that existing Office Max building. We've got some biking infrastructure that we're going to add, and some planting strategies that we'll talk about. So this is a quick schematic of the site. Right over here, the red, we've got the greenhouse. That's the existing Office Max building. We're going to rip the roof off of that, add in a ventilation system and a greenhouse roof, and call it a day. That's going to be our greenhouse. We can grow there all year long, winter, doesn't matter. So then we've got the store. We want to partner with local farmers to give them a platform where they can bring in some of their locally sourced, sustainably grown produce and meats and things that they have on their farm. And then in the green back here, we want an admin area where the co-op can run. Volunteers can check in and go from there. Dock in the back, obviously, to unload and load different items. And then a restaurant. So partner with local breweries, create a farm to table area, or a restaurant where everything can kind of be local, for the community, by the community, right here in Salt Lake City. And then this is that biking infrastructure we talked about. I want it to be a covered biking or a bike lock area, so that people can bike to the site, park their bike in a place where they can feel like it's being taken care of, it's out of the sun, and they don't have to worry about it being, vandalized or damaged from the sun. We're also right across. So here's the TRAX line, the 9th East stop. So it's right here. You can take the TRAX here. And then getting into our sustainability strategies, we have to talk about water. We want to grow a lot of things, so we want to make sure that we're catching rainwater as much as we can, and storing that. That's a system that is going to be expensive, but water from the municipalities often is filtered. Especially in Salt Lake, it's filtered highly. A lot of the minerals are gone. They use chlorine to make sure there's no bacteria, which is not what we want to be growing plants with. So the rainwater has a lot of those minerals in it, and it's clean. So we want to use it for, growing. So it's something that is going to cost us money, but it's going to be better for our end goal, which is growing, good food. Rain garden. So this is going to be, we want to slope that asphalt towards 400 South, so that we can, use that rainwater that falls on the asphalt. It's not necessarily water we want to put into our plants to grow produce with, but we will put it into this garden that's along 400 South. That helps, block some of the sound from that TRAX line and from that busy street. And then as far as our, going into our building, some of those, sustainability strategies are going to be using technology. Technology's come a long way to help us, monitor our energy consumption, and this one kind of just feels like a no-brainer. It is a system that does cost money up front, but it will lower our maintenance costs over time. Make sure that we're not using peak hours and that we're not being inefficient in our uses. So technology is a great way. It sees what we can't see, and it'll help us be more efficient. Solar, a lot of sun in Utah, so we want to make sure that we're harnessing that renewable source for energy. It's the only, energy source coming into Earth from outside, so we want to make sure that we're harnessing that. That's a system that I've seen it can reduce your maintenance costs. Is something that I've seen doesn't offset for many years, but it's something that we want to make sure that we're incorporating here. We will see a lower maintenance costs over time, and we will see an increase in upfront costs. So it's finding that nice balance where it can help us month to month, and on the daily be sustainable and and drive our costs down. And then as far as planting goes, we want to make sure that we're strategically placing trees and bushes around the site for both sound reduction and sun. So we have windows on our building. We want to try to get a tree or something where it can shade that window for the majority of the day or a portion of the day, and lower those heating and cooling costs. The window is going to be our hole in our building envelope, so we want to make sure that we're thinking about that and strategically planting trees to lower that cost. And our material strategy, we're going to try and recycle as much as we can from that existing Office Max building. There's a lot of metal on there that can be recycled. And then, for future construction, we want to make sure that all of our furniture is non-VOC emitting furniture. So if we have windows or if it's outside, it can be in the sun and not emit VOCs that are harmful for people. We also want to make sure that we are using non-VOC paint or just very low emitting VOC paint, so that people can come in and not, feel like they're inhaling pollutants. And then wellness, inhaling pollutants, that leads right into wellness. So as far as light goes, we want this site to feel like it is connected to nature, and light is going to help us do that. So skylights and windows that let the most amount of light in. This is something that is going to be expensive up front. There's not going to be a huge HVAC offset because we actually might have some increases there. Heating and cooling are going to be higher because we're putting a hole in our building envelope. But where we are going to see some reductions is in that electricity for lighting the building. So we're not going to be spending as much money there. We also are going to see a huge increase in wellness. A well-lit building with natural light is going to feel inviting. People are going to want to come, spend time there. For volunteers who are on site, it's going to be great for them. For people coming in, members coming into the co-op, it's going to be great for them as well. Air, this is another one, feel connected to nature. We want those windows to be operable, and then maybe a garage door that opens, a glass garage door that opens onto that patio. So during the nice days, we can kind of have, easy access in and out and kind of bring the outdoors inside, which is going to be an added cost up front. Same thing with light, probably not going to see a ton of reductions over time, but the wellness benefit is going to be huge for this one and make that space feel really nice and inviting. And then sound. So that rain garden, like I mentioned, is going to be huge for sound. Help kind of slow down some of those sounds coming from the tracks line and from that busy street and from people who are using the street, as well as insulating the building correctly and thinking about sound while we're designing is going to be huge. But the biggest wellness point here, I think, is going to be the community. This is going to be a site and a building that is kind of for the community, and it's also going to be by the community. Everything here is going to be grown from local farmers or volunteers coming in, and it's going to be for the community, help everyone kind of who lives here, have a better life. So a lot of lessons learned. First off, I learned that planning is key. It's got to happen as quick as possible and set your expectations, because if you get too far into the design process and you haven't established your expectations, you're not going to meet your goals. And so a lot of it has to happen in planning. I also learned that it's not always more expensive. Sometimes it's just doing something that we've always done in a different way. And it doesn't always have to cost more. But when it does cost more, I've learned that a lot of times it can save on maintenance costs. So your daily costs are going to be less, which might help your operating expenses, be profitable from the day to day, or your upfront costs might increase. The main thing I learned, I think, from this site specifically, is that sustainability can be part of a brand. So a lot of times you might be spending more money on certain systems or on certain things that are sustainable, but you can turn around and use that as branding. We're giving back to the community. We're caring about what happens in the future and the future generation. A lot of people find value in that and will be a part of your brand. So it can be part of your marketing expenses as well, and that can help offset some of those costs, as well. And then that's my presentation. I just wanted to say thank you for this class. I learned a lot. Learned a lot about how to think differently about problems we face every day. So thank you.